Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the RailCats Talk podcast. And we got another win for you tonight. We do. The RailCats just got done defeating the Lake Country Dockhounds 3-2 in a bit of a thriller game in my sense there at Wisconsin Brewery Company Park. The first time the RailCats have beaten the Dockhounds in 9 innings, and the first time in history that they beat them at um, at the Wisconsin Brewing Company Park there in Quantico. A really long, long-winded a bunch of O's. I think they have 5 O's in their name in the city that they played, or town, however you want to put it. Um, what a great game. I thought it started out. I mean, it started out really well with Michael Woodworth hitting a 2-run shot in the first inning that helped propel the RailCats into a win. It was Daniel Ngua's sacrifice fly that brought Wells in the sixth. That was the winning run for the RailCats. But before we get into this game, I want to talk about the game against the Sioux City X's, or the Explorers. The last game that they played, um, the fifth, the Sunday game got rained out, so we didn't get a 3 game set on that one. So that game is going to be made up when they come to play the RailCats. I forget which day they're doing it. I think it's a doubleheader to make that game up. I think it might be a Saturday. But what I want to get at is I watched the game. I watched it all the way up. I watched it at the end, but I was outside with my fiance. We were having a bonfire. I had a bonfire the night before. I didn't have anything. Normally the weekends are kind of hard for me to do a podcast, just because I want to spend time with my fiance and just kind of relax a little bit. Get done with the work week a little bit. I ended up working on Sunday as well, but that game got canceled, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. But Saturday we had to do yard work, so I have responsibilities, so it's kind of hard for me to say, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. So it was just one of those that once it kind of gets in the weekend, it's kind of hard for me to do podcasts. So I apologize for that in the first place. But I really want to get at is, I think the RailCats did. They got out to a 2-0 lead there in the fourth inning, and then they were down 4-3 into the seventh when they gave up 3 runs, and then they came back, and that was the inning that I was transitioning from going outside to inside, and they ended up tying the game. And what I want to allude to is something that I have seen, that I have think other fans have seen as well, is Michael Cruz. I'm sorry, he's just not the answer behind the plate. He's made too many mistakes. He costed them at, which game was it, that he had the wild pitch that it was classified as a wild pitch, but he could have blocked it. I don't think he hasn't proven anything, one, at the plate, and two, behind the plate. I mean, they keep DHing him, but Chris Burgess. I mean, the issue is you're now Sam Abbott's playing first base, but now you're having this rotation of Zach Wells. He's back in the lineup now. Zach Houston's playing third base. That takes Walraven out of it. This team doesn't have the power that everybody thought that Burgess would bring and Cruz would bring, and they're not bringing that. I mean, you're seeing it from Russ Cruz, and in the last podcast I broke that down. You know, Sam Abbott has, him right now, is at a 212 batting average, but he has a handful. A lot of it's his power. Once he makes contact with the ball, it's gonna be power. So he'll get a double, home run, triples, that kind of stuff. You're just not seeing enough from what the potential power hitters were supposed to be, and you're just not seeing that. So I'm just curious to see how Lamar Jackson going to work this around. But what I'm getting to is that last at bat, that last error that scored, because of the wild throw by um, by Cruz just should have never happened in the first place. Yes, bases were loaded, and it was a fielder's choice. I believe it was hit to Lingua. Lingua threw it home, and um, there was a double clutch kind of throw. At that point, there's one out, right? So there was no outs, bases loaded. You get the one out, right? Cool. The double play is now an option, so he should have just held on the ball, and decides he wants to make this crazy throw and throw it all the way back to third and overshot Rasmussen, and it's just like, why are you doing that? What is the point of trying to throw the ball when the bases are loaded and you have a double play opportunity? Maybe if there was no outs, a possibility, but there was one out. Maybe two outs, get a double play, kind of pick it off. But the RailCats are not in the position to, if they were 7 games over 500. You know what? You could take a loss like that. That happens. You learn that from but this team needs the wins, and you're facing an Explorers team that's in the bottom of the West, and you throw up a donut against them in the first game, and then you lose to an error in the second. In the second game, it's just hard for me to sit there and not call it out, because it needs to be called. You can't take everything positively from every experience. That was a bad experience. He's had two costly behind the plate decisions. Yeah, he threw a couple runners out, but he doesn't I don't think he has the catcher's instinct. I mean, he was originally brought in to be a first baseman, and I think that's where he should have stayed. If anything, I would like to see Burgess behind the plate, but I think Smith does a very good job. I think Jackson Smith does a very good job behind the plate. Okay, you can claim that his framing work's not the best, but he has the instinct. I mean, just watching him today, he gets set, he gets ready, he's looking over at first base, he's seeing what the runner's doing, he's up, he thinks the runner's gonna go, he's gonna pop up and go. Like he has that instinct of being a good defensive catcher, which I think they need more of than a power hitter. Put a power hitter in the DH role. You have Sam Abbott, Zach Racusin. I mean, you're getting Daniel Lingua scores, hit a home run as well. You're getting these people that are going to hit home runs. They're going to hit home runs, but you're not getting anything consistent from Michael Cruz. That's the issue. You're not getting anything consistent from him. So it's hard for me to justify him in the lineup. Also, I think if you're going to run a catcher that it be a DH role, you may want to pick up a third catcher just in case something goes wrong, or whatever the case may be. I think you should pick up a third catcher. I mean, you have room to kind of maneuver a little bit, but yet again, I don't know who you're going to take off the roster at this point. I don't, Rookert, I think he has a spot in the rotation somewhere. If it's just going to be a platoon guy with Javion Williams, I think he's also a very good speedy kind of player. You're going to get that kind of stuff, so it's going to be a little interesting to see how they're going to work with, especially losing a pitcher like Leaf Strom, that you have to get another pitcher in there. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season is going to work out with that kind of stuff. So enough of the past. Let's look at the game here. Let's look at the game today. So like I said, we'll go over the scoring innings for the RailCats. Wells gets and I really like Wells as a leadoff hitter here. All right, it wasn't until the 8th inning did he not get on base. He walked, he got a single, and then he grounded out to short. You want to see that from a leadoff hitter. I want to see a guy that's either going to take walks, get singles, just going to get on base. Because if he doesn't get on base here, and Woodworth does hit the home run, this is a tie game going into the 9th inning. But with Wells getting on and Woodward taking the first pitch and just letting it go, and it was the wind was blowing in, so it was a moonshot. He hit it just enough, it wasn't super high in the air, it wasn't a line drive, it was that nice kind of medium hit where it was a perfect hit where you want it to go. It cut through the air and went over the left field fence for a home run. Then Lingua, I'll just finish out the rest of the inning here. Lingua walked, and then he stole second for his 11th steal of the season, and he is right now the leader in the American Association of steals as well. So good to see on that portion of it. Then Cruz flew out to he flew out to left field, and Rakusin line shot right to the shortstop, and it was one of those like where Lingua kind of got put on the island because he thought he was going to get through, and like you said on line drive, he should have froze a little bit. I think he should have, but I think in his mind he thought that was going to go through, and the shortstop made a beautiful catch, and then it doubled off Lingua. The RailCats were basically they didn't get into the score column until the 6th inning when Wells hit a single to left and then Woodworth hit a single to right, which moved Wells from first to third, and then Lingua came in and hit a sac fly to left field, then causing an RBI for Wells to come in. So that was the end of the scoring for the RailCats. I mean, outside of that, there was nothing much going on except Olin had a walk. And I mean that was basically it for anything. So I mean, if it wasn't for the 6th inning, the RailCats would have lost this game. But then looking over at the Dockhounds here, I think really the Woodworth play. I've talked about Woodworth kind of being a little shaky. I believe at second base, he seems to be on the ground more than anything. So I don't know if it's just where he positions himself sometimes. But I do got to give him credit on the sliding play. I'd say it wasn't like he wasn't diving, more of like kind of slid to take Takis, get him out of the inning. And then, I'm kind of confused a little bit on the error. Oh, they ended up not giving the error, okay, because Ryan Zimmerman said that there was an error, so I was going to say that was kind of didn't seem justified to give Wells an error on the throw to third on the Bennett single, or not the Bennett single, the Noriega single, because Bennett was clearly safe at third. He overshot the throw kind of deal. That's the other thing. I think the RailCats, they want to try to make things happen all the time. And I think they want to try to make things happen because they know that the offense may not always be there, so they have to make defensive plays. I'm not saying the outfield is very good defensively. I mean, even Rooker who was that flew out to him? It wasn't a fly out, it was a single. It was actually a buried double, I think it was. It was a buried double, and Yo scored on that, but the ball was out all the way to left field, and Rooker may not be a very big guy, but he's got a heck of an arm, because he took that from the outfield. I mean, if he was really trying, if it didn't get cut off, it would have probably went a one bouncer to the plate, if Rakusin didn't cut it off. So Rooker has a very good arm. He just may not have the stature that you would think he would, but he does that. I mean, even in the last game that they won, I made him the player of the game just simply because of, his play that he made at the plate, a dime throw that, ended up saving the game. But then for the Dockhounds, the first inning, they kind of had, Garcia had a very good game. It was just one of those that he would get the 2 outs and then they put some pressure on and he would strike him out. But then in the 4th, he got Brusa on a ground out to first. Then Garza covered. Not Garza. I'm thinking of I had a football player. His name was Nick Garza, so I had that all kind of screwed up. Garcia. He covered, and then Yo walked, and that was the blemish right there, was the walk, because I think he's only walked 3 batters this year. I think he's now up to 19 innings pitched and walking 3. So I mean that's still good. I mean that's a pretty good, 19 innings, only giving up 3 walks and mostly being a reliever. So I think that's good. Or not mostly receiver. I think this was his first start though. So good job on him. But then he gave up a double to Barry. That brought Yo to third, and then Briggs grounded out to shortstop, which brought in Yo, which would have made the game 2-1. And then I just want to put out some nice kind of defensive plays as well. Bennett hit a high line drive, actually to Woodworth, and him coming up and making the stab as well. I thought it was Lingua, but I could have been mistaken. Wait, oh, it was a high. No, that's wrong. Wrong one. That was actually back in the second. Briggs hit a line shot to Lingua, and he made a spectacular catch. But then not until Brusa came in and Josh Vincent was in, and he gave up a home run to Brusa, which would have made the game 3-2. And then Vincent kind of got everything back together, and then Vega came and shut the door. He got his save of the year. I don't know how many saves that's him right now. That's his second save of the year. He struck out Yo. Barry grounded out to Lingua, and Briggs looking for the third strike of the at bat and of the game. So that's how that ended. Looking at the pitching for the RailCats, Garcia went 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Josh Vincent went 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 3 strikeouts, and Carlos Vega came in, shut the door, had 2 strikeouts, no runs, no nothing like that. And then looking at the losing pitcher, Devin Beckley for the Country Dockhounds, pitched 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. And then Matt Velen came in. He pitched 1 inning, had 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and then it was Mitch Sparks to close the game out. He went 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, didn't give anything up on that aspect of it. I mean, so I tweeted and put on Facebook that I put Nick Garcia and Michael Woodworth as my players of the game. You know, the thing that kind of sucks for me as I look at Nick Garcia's line here, you know, he struggled a little bit there in the fourth, giving up the walk and the run, but then he came back in the fifth and shut down the door. I would have liked him to see him come out to the 6th inning and pitch that and have a, you know, better start than that. I know pitch counts are going to be kind of a part of that, but I mean, with him coming with a shutdown inning and then expecting Josh Vincent to potentially pitch 4 more innings, which he ended up not, but still, nonetheless, that's, you know, that's a big part of, I think you want to try and save your better bullpen arms for games like this. So I think, you know, I know I made I criticized Lamar Jackson for leaving Chris Irwin out too long in one of the losses. But, I mean, that was just a case of that he was pitching relief for 4 innings. You know, I think if you can get I think if the starter is going and he comes off of a shutdown inning and then he goes to the next game, or, you know, the next inning and he may struggle, okay, bring in the relief pitcher. That's a gamble you're gonna pay for that one. But if you're gonna use a starter, use a starter. Don't stop him at 5 innings and say it's okay. You know, I get that he has a new different system that he's running. With the case of, you know, however that, you know, sometimes I know Jack Eisenberger came in last game he came in, but still I would still like to see, you know, something. If he's gonna struggle, if the starting pitcher is gonna struggle, you may bring in another starting pitcher, you know, that hasn't seen a couple games or whatever, you know, just to pitch the one and just get out of that inning so you save the rest of your bullpen arms. I would like to see more of that kind of deal. I would like to see a set between the starting pitching, the relief pitching, and the closers. I would say right now Vegas should be your closer, but he's also a very good long reliever as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see how you're gonna work that one out there. But nonetheless, it was a good win. You need this win. It brings your total, you know, brings you up to 8-14. You know, that now that brings the Dockhounds to 11-11. I just think you need more consistency. I think that's the term that we have to use here with the team is consistency. You know, you're hitting on pitching, but then you're not. You know, I would like to see a couple more at bats that are a little bit longer. Foul things off. If you don't like something, don't just always take close pitches. I mean, realistically, there's only 2 backwards Ks, and that was in the 7th. There. So I mean, there wasn't a lot. You strike out 6 times, which okay, and they struck out 9 times, and out of that, you only backwards K, 2 times, which is not too terrible. But nonetheless, I would like to see more walks. You look at Lake Country's line here. They had 7 hits. The RailCats had 6 hits, and they had 1 walk, and the RailCats had 4 walks. I mean, if it wasn't for the first inning walk, then this would be, it may be a different story. It may be a tie game going in the 10th, and we may have an overtime thriller or not. So it was overall, like I said, it's overall good win. It was a good game. Sometimes it sucks when the games go like 3 hours long. But this game was just under 3 hours, so it was a decent time. The weather seemed to be very nice. I know the weather here over where I'm at was kind of raining and thunderstorming and all that other good stuff. So over here in Indiana, we kind of got screwed on the weather. But at least over there in Wisconsin, it was decent. The weather missed. I thought maybe there might have gotten rained out because of where the storm system was coming. But all of that with the jet stream kind of helped that miss the Wisconsin area there. So very good win. I'm hoping we can potentially take our first. The RailCats can finally win. Win a series, which would be great for us. It would be spectacular. It would really help. It would be really nice to actually win a series and get some momentum going. And if it has to be against one of the better teams in the conference, let it be. I mean, right now that's who we're facing. That's who we're battling right now is the Dockhounds, who is now tied. Well, technically, the Milkmen are above them because they don't have Lake Country Dockhounds and the Gary South Shore RailCats were the only games to play today. So that's why that they're tied there for the 4th spot. You're 3 wins behind that. I mean, especially if you come out of this series and you win 2 more, you're bringing it's a 4-game set. So I mean, if you end up sweeping the series, you're really putting yourselves at a good situation here. You're putting yourself at 11-14. You're going to be tied for 4th in the division. That's where you want to be. You want to be in that battle spot. So I don't want to get my hopes up because I just know how it has been. You only win 1 game a series. You split a series against King County Cougars, which is 2nd in the conference, or I should say in the division. But that's just something you want to see. That's what I want to see more of as well. But so I should have more. Actually, let's just go ahead here and just go into the schedule for the rest of the week here. They play tomorrow at the Wisconsin Brewery Community Park at 6:35. Like I said, it's a 4-game series, so they play all the way till Thursday. So 6:35 start tomorrow. Probably first pitch would be around like 6:38 because that's what it was today. So I'd be around that time. So I should have a podcast out tomorrow. Depending how late the game goes, I do have to be up early on Wednesday. I have to be at work at 6. I don't have to work until 7. So I have an extra hour to kind of sleep and edit and all that other kind of good stuff. As well, because it does take me about an hour after the game to edit everything, get it uploaded and sent out. But going into just reminders, I'll probably remind everyone every podcast that so it is Friday's game is actually a doubleheader against Sioux City. The first game is going to be at 4 and the second game is going to be at 7. I mean, depending when the first game gets over with. So that's when they were making. I thought it may have been Saturday, but it is Friday. But Saturday is my bachelor party. I'm getting married in September, so we're going to a White Sox game. We're going to have a fun time. So I'll probably be offline Saturday and Sunday, and then I'll be back again on Tuesday. But Friday, Friday I may be at the game. I may not be at the first game, but I'll probably be at the second game if I go. If not, then I'll have a podcast after the first one and then a podcast after the second one as well. But for me, I'm Kyle Svetich. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook. All that good stuff where I upload and post some things, especially on YouTube here. Like, comment, subscribe. I try to get back to everyone who comments on anything I post, anything like that. I like to have conversation with everyone. So on and so forth. That's going to wrap it up for this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the outcome of the game. I surely did. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. So on and so forth. And remember, go Cats.